Hello, hello, hello. What a long day it has been. And I actually look so much nicer this morning. This afternoon. I got up today. I feel like I've been up forever. And I fell asleep for like 45 minutes earlier. I got up. Alex had to work all day today. I went in my office for an hour. And then came home and filmed videos. And my merch is up. My merch shop is up. So I will link it below if you guys are interested. You can go check it out. And I talked about it on my main channel video. I ended up just using Teespring because I just didn't want to mess with shipping and all that kind of stuff. You know, I mean, if I had 10 million subscribers and I could hire a merchandising company and all that kind of stuff, I would do that. But I don't know enough about all that kind of stuff. So I just used one of those pre-planned ones, and I went in there and just like uploaded like the art that I had designed and stuff. So I did the best I could do. I hope you guys enjoy it. They have suggested price points on there. I just went with a suggested price point. They show you like how much it costs to design the shirt and then like what the price point is. So I didn't upmark them a whole lot or anything like that. I just went with the price point that they have. And so anyway, I have a couple more sayings that are coming on there for t-shirts. And then, yeah, that's it. So, let's see. I got up today, I did that, and then it was St. Patrick's Day, so I did my hair, and I wore a little green t-shirt and everything, and filmed a bunch of videos, pre-filmed a bunch of videos for my trip, for my Peterisms channel, my BookTube channel, and then it was like later, and Alex worked until like 7:30 tonight, and he had decided that he was just going to come home because he was tired, and he had worked all day long, and because we went out to dinner late last night and stuff. So he was just going to come home and relax and watch TV and get some food. He ended up getting like Taco Bell and just relaxing and watching TV. And I had to pick up Tanya tonight and her husband at the airport, but they weren't getting in until like 1 a.m. Like, well, 12:50 they were getting in. And so I had wanted to run down to Edinburgh Outlet Mall, which is like an outlet mall in Indianapolis, in Indiana. It's like 45 minutes like south of where I live. And so, because I wanted to get a pair of shoes at the Nike outlet for going to Ultra and going to, I just wanted a new pair of like running shoes or like, you know, sneakers to wear to Ultra Music Festival. The thing is, I never shop. Like, I never buy new clothes. Like, I might, like, like, the other night at Meijer, I bought, like, I'm thinking about tomorrow on here maybe doing, like, a haul. Like, showing a haul of what I bought for my trip. Like, the other night I bought, like, 2 or 3 t-shirts at Meijer. But I very, very rarely ever buy new stuff. And if I do, it's usually always around a trip. You know, I just don't love buying new clothes and shopping for new clothes. I just, you know, I do like doing it, but like I don't like shopping. I'm just not a big shopper. And I get a little overwhelmed. I don't like to try stuff on. And quite frankly, I just don't like to spend the money. And I'm a clearance shopper 100%. Like thrift stores, I love for like vintage clothes, but then if I'm gonna go to like a store, like I'm a clearance shopper all the way, like always. And so anyway, I went to the outlet mall and I wanted to get these shoes. And so I did. Well, I went and looked at the shoes first, and in the whole Nike store, the whole outlet store. So if you guys have never been to an outlet mall, I don't know like where you are in the world. So an outlet mall is like, it's just basically all these outlet stores that are like cheaper than, it's like the stuff that like has already been like out and it's like cheaper than like the main store. So this outlet mall, it's basically like a typical one in the United States. It has like Ralph Lauren, Michael Kors, Nautica, Tommy Hilfiger, Jockey, Levi's, Calvin Klein, Abercrombie and Fitch, Lids hats, Yankee candles. I'm trying to think of what else is there. Nike, Gap, Columbia Sportswear, Perfumania, which has cologne, cosmetics. What else do they have? Banana Republic. Tons of stuff. So anyway, I went to the Nike store and I went through all of the shoes, the clearance shoes, all the shoes, because they have like new shoes in there too. And I wanted to get a pair of Air Maxes because I love them. The only pair of Air Maxes that I liked were the most expensive shoes in the store. They were 140 bucks. Which, you know, like, I know people spend like $200 and $300 on sneakers and shoes, but I just think that's ridiculous. So anyway, I was like, well, unless I spend a lot of other money, I'll come back and get them, but I don't know that I really want them. Plus, I wanted them in blue. Now, I've always wanted a pair of like red or orange, like running shoes. I don't know why. I've just always thought that would be fun. And they had the pair that I liked. They had them in blue, but not in my size. And then they had them in like a red, like a reddish orange. And they had those in my size. So I left, and then I went to Gap, and I bought 2 t-shirts. And then I went to Puma, because I wanted a bag, like a laptop bag. And I walked right in, and they had this over-the-shoulder laptop bag that is exactly what I was looking for. And although it's easier for me to carry a backpack when I go on trips, so I don't know, I may not carry this. This may just end up becoming my work bag. But it was $45 marked down. I got it for $21, and it's a really nice bag. It's really cute. It says Puma across it. And then I went to Abercrombie, which I'm not like an Abercrombie fan. I mean, you know, at 45 years old, but I feel like their stuff is nicely made, and their t-shirts are thicker and stuff. So I bought like 3 t-shirts. I actually spent the most there. I spent like 81 bucks. I got like 3 or 4 t-shirts, a pair of flip-flops, and a pair of like sweat shorts, you know, like cut-off sweat shorts that are camouflage. I was like, well, I can wear those around, you know, in Miami, or I can wear those like on the plane or something. And then I went to Ralph Lauren, and on their clearance rack, they had a pair of khakis that were kind of slim-legged, and they were marked down from like 140 to like 32, and I put them on, and they look adorable. I couldn't believe it. And I was like, oh, I'm getting these shoes. I'm getting these khakis. So I got those, because then I have like a nice pair of khakis for like the spring and summer, as well as like to wear to Miami. I might wear them on the plane, and then but I always usually try to wear jeans on the plane, because then I don't have to pack the pair of jeans that I wear. And then I got, I was like, screw it, I never shop. I went to Nike. They were getting ready to close, and I bought the pair of shoes that I wanted. So I bought the $140 pair of shoes. But I'm kind of like, I like drove away, and I was like, God, like, did you really spend all that money? And then I was kind of like, you know what? I really didn't spend that much money total. I just never shop like that. And they're basic things that I need. Like, I need new t-shirts. I mean, every t-shirt that I own is black. I was looking in my closet. I literally own like 25 plain black t-shirts. And so now I got like a red t-shirt, an orange t-shirt, a pale blue t-shirt, a green like a mint green t-shirt. I got a striped like blue and red t-shirt that's real cute with a pocket on it from the Gap. And then like that was where I got the red t-shirt too. So, I mean, I got some stuff that's cute. You know, I can wear a pair of khakis and roll them up with sandals when I'm in like Miami to go out to dinner. And, so, I mean, I guess I didn't really spend a lot for what I got. The shoes, if I hadn't bought the shoes, I wouldn't have spent a lot, but I don't regret buying the shoes. I needed to buy the shoes. I needed a new pair of shoes, and the ones I have give me blisters, and every year we go to Ultra, I get these horrific blisters, and I was like, I don't want to have these really bad blisters this year. I just don't. So, yeah. So that's what I did, and then it was kind of fun. I'm trying to finish listening to this audiobook, Artemis, by Andy Weir, And I listened to it the whole way down there because it's like a 45-minute drive, and then the whole way home. I'm almost done with it. I have like right now a half an hour or 40 minutes left, and then I came home, and that was Alex was just coming home from getting Taco Bell, and he came home had taken a really long shower and was just so relaxed and was putting his curl stuff in his hair. He loves that, Diva curls. He uses that product. You guys use that? He loves that product. So anyway, so I was like, I'm gonna lay down for an hour and then I'm gonna get up and do a live stream. I really want to do a live stream tonight. And it was like 10 o'clock, and I was gonna get up at 11, live stream till midnight, and then leave to go pick up Tanya. I crashed. It was so funny, I love to take naps during the day and stuff, but I think that, one of the reasons why, I like taking naps at night, when Alex is there, because, he watches shows that I don't watch, so for me to just be sitting downstairs watching, a show that he's not watching is, and he really unwinds. My husband watches so much television. He has, I don't know, I can't even tell you how many TV shows he watches. He watches so many reality shows, everything. And, so he had 7 shows he wanted to catch up with. Then he watches all those Marvel shows too. Andy's watching Will and Grace. And he watches all these Netflix shows. And so I was just like, you relax, I'm gonna lay down. But I think that one of the reasons why I like taking a nap when he's there is that, well, Boo Radley, first of all, comes up and sleeps right next to me, which is the cutest thing. 10 minutes into my nap, all of a sudden I'll hear this, jump up on the bed, and I look over and it's Boo Radley, and he's just sitting there so sweetly. And, so I think, and then I just sit there and I talk to him a little bit, and then I fall asleep. And I think I fall asleep so easily because it's I can hear the TV downstairs, and, Alex is down there. It just feels very homey to me, you know what I mean? Very safe. So that was my night. And then, I woke up at 12:23. I kept on snoozing my alarm. I woke up at 12:23 and I was like, oh my God, I have to be at the airport in a half an hour. And I wanted to get a fountain pop because I haven't had a fountain pop in days. And it's we're a half an hour, 40 minutes from the airport. I busted a move to get to that airport, let me just tell you. And right as 5 minutes, I was pulling off the interstate to get onto the airport exit. Tanya called me and she's like, we're here, we just got here, we're waiting for one more bag. And I was like, okay, I'm just running. She's like, oh, don't worry about it, you'll be fine, we just got here. So, picked she and her husband up, and then I drove them home. And then I was listening to my audiobook. I just bought all these audiobooks, so I'm ready to listen to the next one. I really like this book. It's good. It's interesting. It's very action-packed. If you like those kind of books, you would love this book. It reads like an action movie, but I'm kind of ready for it to be over. It's been going on forever, and the last third of it is really good. A lot of really crazy stuff happens. I just feel like I've been listening to it forever. The next couple days are going to be kind of crazy for me. I have to, tomorrow I have to pre-film a bunch of videos. And then I have to go buy stuff for the trip. And then Tanya and my cousin Caroline and I are going to the funeral for a family friend. I told Alex he didn't have to go. It's not somebody that he's really that close with. And so Tanya and I are going to go, and I think my cousin Caroline's going to meet us there. But Caroline and I were going to go together, but I haven't heard from her, so I don't know. So we're going to that at 3. It's not a funeral. It's a celebration of life party. So that's tomorrow, and then Monday and Tuesday, I have a team building thing I have to go to. It's part planning and then part doing on Monday. And I'm getting my hair cut. And then I have to pick up the dog meds, pick up dog food, pick up my own meds, get my watch fixed. I've got to get a battery for my watch. because I have this Nixon watch that I love, and it's been sitting on the counter for 2 weeks. I've been meaning to take it to get I don't know, I'm just gonna have to make a major list tomorrow to get stuff done. I want my merch shop completed by Monday, because everything's up there already that I want. There's like 4 more sayings that I want on t-shirts. So my friend Dustin is helping me with it, and because he's really good with that kind of stuff. So that stuff should be done by Monday. I just want to be completely relaxed so that Tuesday I can just get ready to go. I take the, you know, PP to Tanya's on Tuesday, and then my brother-in-law and my sister-in-law, maybe just her, I don't know, are coming over sometime on Tuesday, probably evening, to like go through everything. I'm a little panicked. Like, they've house sat for us before while we're gone with the dogs. But I'm just, like, always worried that, like, I don't know, are you guys the same way? Like, I watch my dogs so closely when they're outside, and Boo Radley can just, like, he kind of darts all over the place. I think it'll be easier for them because Pee-Pee's not there. Pee-Pee's been doing really, really well lately, so I'm not worried about him being at Tanya's as much. And she's just, I think she's going to keep him with her and take him home at night and bring him back in the morning. Just make him like a kennel dog for a week and a half. So I'm not too worried about Pee-Pee. And then they're going to take Boo and Tucker over there at the end of the week, like for 2 nights, so that they can't do like the last 2 nights. And then also Boo and Tucker need to get groomed. So, which also means I have to clean the house. Oh, it just stopped. Didn't even notice that. Okay, I had to let my camera cool down for a little bit. I didn't even notice that the yellow light was on because I wasn't looking at the camera, and I didn't see it come on. So what was I talking about? Having to clean my house for my in-laws. They don't even care. Isn't that so funny? I remember back in the day when people would have like housekeepers, like people still have housekeepers or cleaners or whatever come in. We did for a while. I miss having one. God, it was so nice. We need to find another one. And but do you remember like back in the day when people would like clean their house before the housekeeper would come? That's so hilarious to me. I always get like so nervous before, I don't know if I said this, I was thinking this before, but I always get so nervous like before I go on a trip that I'll forget something. And like now I'm kind of down to like, if I have my medicine and I have my ID and money and Ultra tickets, I'm fine, you know, like the rest of it, if we get there and we don't have anything, we can like buy it if we have to. And I remember when I went to St. Martin with my dad, I just talked about this actually on my Peterisms channel. I told this story. Oh no, you guys haven't seen it yet. I haven't posted it yet. I pre-filmed it. I read it from my blog, one of my old blogs, but and I don't think I actually put this in the blog, but we, it was kind of like a spur-of-the-moment trip that my dad planned, like, for spring break, and, it was this crazy trip. Like, it was really, like, a crazy, crazy trip. My dad, when I was in high school, did not, like, he couldn't take vacations very often because of his practice, and my dad was chief of staff when I was, like, in high school, so when we took vacations, like, we took, like, long vacations, and he always, like, they were very nice vacations. I feel very blessed to have traveled where I did and the way that I did, and so I remember, like, he booked this trip at the last minute, and we flew in, and I'll never forget, we flew into, like, St. Martin at, like, in the middle of the night, and I remember we landed, and this was long before, like, St. Martin was touristy. I mean, it was touristy, it had resorts and stuff like that, but it wasn't that touristy. I've been there 3 times, And one time we stayed on the French side, and 2 times we stayed on the French side, and 1 time we stayed on the Dutch side. And the first time that we went, though, we stayed at this place called La Samana, and it was actually owned by the tennis player Yvonne Lendl, like his wife or something like that. It's one of the most amazing places I've ever been in my entire life. And it's on this long beach, and it's this little inlet that's protected. And so anyway, I remember we flew in, and we got there at like 1 o'clock in the morning, and my stepmom and I, do you remember those Walkmans back in the day that you could play tapes on, and then it would have like 2 things for 2 different microphones or 2 different headphones? So we were both listening to it at the same time, and we were listening to Caribbean Queen by Billy Ocean and Club Nouveau. We were listening to that Jealousy by Club Nouveau, and we had so much fun. We were like dancing in our seats and stuff. And I talk about this in my other video, but my dad let me drink the whole trip. So I may have even like been a little tipsy on the plane ride. I don't remember. And I don't know why he chose to let me do, I think it was my senior year spring break. No, that wouldn't have been true. Because my senior year, I went to Florida, or was that my junior year? I think that might have been my junior year. My junior year, I went to Florida, I think, with like the orchestra. So this would have been my senior year, so I would have been almost 18. And I think my dad was just like, he knew I was drinking. I'm not going to make excuses. He just let me drink on the trip, and he let me smoke. He knew I smoked cigarettes by that point. And he just was like, I'm not going to fight it. Have fun. You know, do what you're going to do, but just, you know, be safe with us. And so, I mean, I was with them the whole time, and God, I am rationalizing the shit out of some drinking back in the day. I would let parents have it for this now. But anyway, I did. I drank on that trip. But I remember later he said to me something about it, like years later when I got sober. He asked me, he goes, do you think that it's because like I let you drink on a couple trips and stuff like that? And I was like, no, Dad. I was like, it does, you know. It was so before that, but I don't think that parents should let their kids drink on trips. I'm really, I think it sends a bad message. Actually, I talked about this on here not too long ago, that like, or maybe I talked about it in that video, I don't know, but like I drank Sambuca on that whole trip. I don't know what it was about that, but I got hooked on the drink Sambuca, which is like this it's like this licorice like after dinner drink, and you drink it in like a glass on ice with like a coffee bean. For some reason I got hooked on it. I don't know why. And I remember like coming back, and I was staying at my dad's house one weekend. We were like sitting around watching movies, and I was like, can I have a Sambuca? And he was like, are you crazy? No. Like, my dad was never that dad that like when I was 19 was like, just pop a beer. Like, he never was like that with me. You know, I mean, I just wasn't legally allowed to drink till I was 21. So it's weird to me that on trips he did sometimes, but he did. We went to London for Christmas. It would have been that same year, and he let me drink too. So anyway, but we got there, and then I remember my dad, we rented a Jeep at the airport, and we drove to where this place was, and it was like through the mountains, in the jungle. It was impossible to find. My dad was like having such a hard time finding it. It was so beautiful. I'll never forget, like we came over the top of this mountain. Like, so, I don't know if it's a mountain really, but like St. Martin is has like huge steep hills and mountain. Isn't it a mountain? I don't know. But it's gorgeous foliage, and it's like very like jungly. And I, at the time, was obsessed with the movie Romancing the Stone, so it very much felt like that to me. And we, like, came out over the top of this mountain, like, to go down to, like, this road took us right down to where we were staying. It was real isolated. And I will never forget, look up the resort La Samana. It's S-A-M-A-N-A. I don't know if it still exists, actually. But, like, we came up over this hill and looked down, and we were, like, over this cove, like, going straight down to this cove, and it was, like, all lit up by this moon, and I was like, oh, my God, this is absolutely gorgeous. I cannot believe this. And so we got there, and we checked in, And maybe we didn't get there at like 1. Maybe we got there at like 11, I think. Anyway, we checked in, and my dad had like, so there was like a hotel, but then there was like these houses on the beach. And my dad had rented like one of these houses on the beach. And we had like this house, like this 2 or 3 bedroom like house that was like, you would walk out the door and you literally were like 10 feet from the ocean. It was fantastic. And it was white stucco. It was gorgeous. And I remember though, we had like, there was no TV or anything. It was like one of those kind of places. And my dad was like always for going places that didn't have like a lot of TV and luxury. Like it would be luxurious, but you wouldn't have TVs. And so we just like read and listened to music like the whole week. And it was kind of fantastic actually. My whole family are families of readers. My mom read, my dad is a huge reader. My stepmom loves to read. She reads tons. She constantly is reading. And she reads like Jackie Collins, Danielle Steele. She reads like all of like Dan Brown. She reads all of like the bestsellers. So anyway, and that was actually the trip that that would have been a couple years before that. And we went to, where did we go? And I read Lucky by Jackie Collins. And she gave it to me and I fell in love with Jackie Collins then. Because I would have been like in 9th grade when that happened. I don't know what trip that would have been. Maybe this was the second time that we went to St. Martin, and the first time was when we stayed at this place called like Oyster Bay or something, I think it was called. I think that might have been the first time that we went there. But anyway, the second time that we went there, our luggage didn't show up at the airport. And we never got our luggage the whole week. It never showed up. And so like the next day we had to go into the city, which is a city called Marigot. And it's like all these little French shops and stuff like that. And we like shopped the house down. Like we bought all new bathing suits and clothes to wear for the whole week. It was fantastic. And it was very much like Vacation, like that movie when they go shopping, you know. I mean, it wasn't that elegantia. I mean, we each got like 2 bathing suits, some t-shirts and shorts and like, you know, whatever. But it was such a fun trip. And I remember that first night that we got there, my stepmom, so cool, and she was like, come on, let's go up to the hotel. Like, they had this hotel that had this amazing pool that was all lit up, and it was like, they had this huge bar restaurant that was like very dressy, that like overlooked the pool. It was very quiet. And so Debbie was like, come on, let's go swimming in the pool. So we like walk up there, and she's like in a bikini and I'm like in a bathing suit, you know, at 17 and a t-shirt, and there's like all these people there eating dinner, and we just like jumped in the pool, and I'll never forget that. And we had so much fun like swimming. I have pictures of that somewhere in my basement. And just such a fun trip. We had such a great trip. And I remember like for lunches, we would either like, they had this restaurant, we went into town a lot, and we would get like baguettes of bread and like brie cheese and other kinds of cheese, and we would just like make these like cheese sandwiches out of like the baguettes of bread and like brie, and like we put like 3 different kinds of cheese and butter and stuff on there, and that was our sandwiches for lunch. And they used to have like tall bottles of like that Fanta orange, and I remember we would drink that Fanta orange with these sandwiches. I don't know how I remember that. But then there was this restaurant attached to this hotel, and it overlooked this other side that was like this rocky cove where people would like they could fish, and it was like you could look down literally and see all of these parrotfish just swimming like 5 feet away from you. And we would sit there, and I remember they had this like creamy tomato soup bisque, and it came with these little pieces of toast, and then like we would get like little sandwiches. It was and like chocolate mousse every day for lunch. We would go and I would eat the same things. I was obsessed with this like tomato soup with these little toasts and stuff. And my stepmom wanted a Cobb salad one time, and they didn't know how to make a Cobb salad. And so she was like, well, can I show you how to make a Cobb salad? My stepmom's a great cook. And so we went in, like, she went into the kitchen. I remember I went in with her, and she's like showing them how to make a Cobb salad. They were so excited. They were like, they loved her. She's just a just a real cool woman. But anyway, she's a painter. I don't know if I've talked much about my stepmom, but she's a painter. And so anyway, but she, we had such a good trip. We had so much fun. And this whole thing happened where we went to the casino one night. And that's like the thing that I talk about in the Peterisms video. The video is called Island Life. So when it comes up, you'll know that that's what I'm talking about. But I'm not going to tell the story because I don't want to ruin it for the video. But it was like one of those moments. Have you ever had those moments where like really changes your outlook on the whole world? And we met this couple. We didn't meet them. They just kind of like came up next to us. But they were just those people that like when they walk into a room, like just like own the room, you know? And it has nothing to do with like, I just remember like I've talked about this. Actually, I talked about this on here about people that are just too much. About like a year ago, I talked about it because like he had like blonde hair. They both were really blonde, and he had like blonde curly hair and like just jeans with like a hole in the knee, and he had like a white button-down collar on. He looked like he had just gotten out of the ocean, and he had flip-flops on, and she had long blonde hair like Daryl Hannah, and she had like this white like tank dress on and flip-flops, and they just were so sexy. And I remember I just was like, have you ever fallen in love with like a couple? Like I instantly was like, God, I want to be like these people. And I remember this chick looked at me and asked me if she could have a cigarette. And I just thought she was so cool. I thought they were together, they were so cool. And then we left after that. But it was funny because in my video that I talk about, like in the blog post that I wrote, I had like this realization, like, I don't know, whenever I wrote the blog post, like 10 years ago, that I like dreamed up this idea that they lived on this like sailboat and they just traveled the world, you know, like some kind of Romancing the Stone kind of story. When in reality, you know, it was probably their honeymoon, and they were from like, you know, Idaho or something, and now they were divorced and had 3 kids, and it was real depressing. I always turn it into some real sad story like that. But there was something else I was going to tell about going on that trip. Something else that happened. Oh my God. Okay, so we went one day to St. Bart's on this catamaran trip, and there was like 10 of us on this trip. Maybe not even 10 of us. It was like me and my dad and my stepmom, and then like 2 other couples. So like what, 6 or 7 people? It is St. Patrick's Day, and people are coming home drunk. It's 3 o'clock, the bar's just closed, and this person in front of me is driving so slow and weaving from road to road. And I'm like, you should not be driving in a car tonight, is what. They just pulled over. They don't know what they're doing. So anyway, but what was I gonna say? So we took this catamaran trip to St. Bart's, and it was so fantastic. And you know, St. Bart's now is like where all of like the rich and famous celebrities go for New Year's and stuff like that. Mary J. Blige, Naomi Campbell, and all of them. But back in the day, nobody went there. I mean, nobody. And I think it was like so expensive to go there because you would have had to fly into like St. Martin and then take like a private jet or something over to St. Bart's or a boat or whatever. And it just was like, I remember like they had like the hotels, you either rented a house or the hotels had like 6 rooms in it. And it was like very German. And there were like these little like, hotels that had like 6 and 7 rooms in them, and they were really cool. And we like walked down the street, and like I remember we ended up eating at this one place. Very much reminded me of like when you see like, you know, like movies, like what's that movie? A Town and Mr. Ripley. I love that book too. But anyway, where it's like, you know, Greece or like the south of France, and it's like the ocean, but it's like real rocky. You know what I'm talking about? And it's like crystal clear. It looked like that, but then there would be part of it that was that, like a little grotto, and then there would be another part that was like really like beachy. And I remember we ate at this restaurant, and the food was like so good. And I remember like I had this pasta. It was like this German restaurant, but I had this like pasta, and it was like this German hotel. Anyway, but I had this pasta, and It was like one of the best restaurants I've ever been to in my entire life. And I remember my dad just kept on saying, God, this place is so cheap. This place is so cheap. And we had one of the most amazing trips ever. And at the, the end of the day, like I'm sunburnt and we're going back on this catamaran. And I remember I sat on the very front and I just let my legs. And this is so weird, knowing my fear of sharks, that I did this. But I remember that I just sat on the back or the front of the catamaran. Like catamarans have those things. And I sat on it like as we were going back to St. Martin and just let my feet like dangle in the water. And the entire way I listened to that Paul Simon Graceland soundtrack or album because my dad had just bought it on tape. I love that album to this day. It's like one of my favorite albums. If you've never listened to Paul Simon Graceland, do yourself a favor and download it. It is fantastic. And but I just listened to that song, Diamond on the Soles of Her Shoes, like over and over and over again. And it kind of became my like theme song for that trip. Which is funny because the blog that I wrote is called like the theme song for that day. But I love that song to this day. I really, really do. What a fun trip. My dad and my stepmom and I used to have such fun trips. With my first boyfriend and I, Jared, we used to travel a lot with my dad and my stepmom. We went to Grand Cayman. We went to Cancun 3 times. We went to Cabo San Lucas with them. And we stayed in some incredible places and all those places. My dad just, they don't travel anymore, which is so sad to me. They used to love to travel, and my dad would like really research like the best place he wanted to stay. And we stayed at this place in Cabo San Lucas called Las Ventanas. I will never forget it. It had like fireplaces in the room. It was like crazy. These rooms were not even rooms. They were like these standalone like silos. And they just were like absolutely incredible. And I remember we showed up there and I was like, Dad, like seriously? He's like, well, I wanted to get away. I wanted to stay somewhere nice. And my dad's just been so awesome to me in my life, just really exposed me to some great places and paid for my treatment, paid for my education, giving me great, he always gives me such wonderful advice on stuff, and he doesn't give me advice like this is what you should do or this is what you need to do. It's always just like, well, this is what I've done, I wish I would have done this instead, and I remember when my dad, when I was like, I think it was after I got out of treatment. It was like 6 months sober. My dad and I had this like really intense conversation. We're sitting by the pool. And I said to him, like, I'm sorry I didn't listen to a lot of the suggestions that you gave me through the years. And he said, he calls me Pete. He said, Pete, he goes, I wish I could show you all of the mistakes I made in my life and all the successes that I've had. And that you could choose to base your life on that, and that you could, like, not make the same mistakes that I've made, but follow in the same road that I did with the things that were successful for me. And he goes, and you'd have an amazing life. He goes, but the thing is he goes, it's your life, it's your journey. And he goes, I know that you have to like make your own choices and you have to learn your own path. He goes, I can't do that for you. He goes, I can't show that to you. And he goes, a parent's fear is that you're gonna make choices that you like have detrimental impact. Like we were talking about debt, like financial debt. And he's like, that you might make choices that you can't get out of. My dad was always against credit cards. Like he's always, if you can't afford it in cash, you can't afford to go. You can't afford to do it. You can't afford to buy it. Like that's been my dad's attitude always in life. My dad is not a person that lives with very much debt. He doesn't like it. And I think part of it is that he came from a really impoverished background. My dad was the youngest of 5 kids. They had no money. They had an outhouse. He literally had an outhouse till he was 21 years old. And, like when he went to Indiana University, it was like a new world for him, And it wasn't like he came from some backwoods place. He came from Fort Wayne, Indiana, which at one point I think was like the capital of Indiana. It's like, it's a big city. And, but, he said, like, looking back, he's like, I never knew that we were any different than anybody. Everybody around us, it was the same, And, my parents have both been awesome in my life. Well, my mom was awesome, in allowing me to make the choices in my life that I needed to make for me. and not pushing me into any one direction. I'm so thankful that neither one of them were like, well, you need to do this. Like, people used to always say to me, did your dad want you to be a doctor? Because my dad's a doctor. If anything, my dad discouraged me from being a doctor. You know, he's like, it's a lot of work, it's a lot of education, it's a lot of hard studying and work. And then when you get in it, it's 24 hours a day work. It's a lot of work. You just don't really, unless you're really, really committed to it, you know? And I can remember growing up, and, you know, if my dad was at home, especially since he was a reconstructive surgeon, I mean, I'm sure it's the same for all kinds of surgeons, but that's the only point of reference that I have, that he was designing surgeries. Like, my dad would come up with surgeries for, like, cleft palates and burn victims and things like that, you know? So he'd be at home with, like, all of these pictures that he was taking Sharpies to, you know, like drawing areas and recreating, figuring out how he was going to skin graft something. Like, that's what, you know, he would do at home on weekends. And, so he kind of discouraged me from all of that. You know, he would say to me, do something that you love and the money will follow. That's what number one, he always said that to me. Do what you love and the money will follow, or do what you love and the money won't matter. And that's true. You know, like, when I was working in treatment, I made shit money. I didn't make good money at all. And it didn't matter. Like, it didn't really matter. I loved what I did. I was the highest paid counselor when I left working in that treatment facility after 13 years. I was the highest paid counselor they had ever seen, probably because I fought for raises all the time. When I was in graduate school, they told us as social workers we were supposed to fight for pay raises and stuff because social workers are so underpaid. I made, like, such shitty money for 13 years and a master's degree and all that kind of stuff. I don't know what, that was Alex. He just texted me something. I'm gonna have to pull over and see what he texted me. It's like 3:20. Please tell me this is not a gated community that I can't pull into. Okay. He said, I know who won Rue. If he watched it without me, I'm gonna be pissed. Let's see what he says. He watched it without me. Rude. Look, he sent me this picture earlier, look. I said, what are you doing? And he sent me a picture of the dogs on his lap. They always sleep all over him. It's so funny. He's like, I'm sorry I watched it. I'm like, it's not that big of a deal. It's a TV show. Okay, I gotta finish this. Say goodnight. He's up late tonight watching TV. He's usually in bed by midnight. It's 3:22. I said, okay, but I gotta finish my vlog. How can I forget so quickly what I was talking about? Oh, I was talking about my dad and advice and stuff like that. But, you know, he told me, he said, you know, do what you love and the money will follow. I stopped taking that ginkgo biloba stuff. I think it's a lie straight from the pit of hell. That stuff has made me forget more than it's made me remember. I'm not taking it anymore. But anyway, I'm almost at 30 minutes. I can't believe it. What was I going to say? See that stupid memory, ginkgo biloba. But no, like, and you know, he's always been so supportive of me of anything that I've wanted to do in my life, and I just feel very blessed for that, you know, that, and interested, like, and very interested in the things that I've done, you know? Especially, like, my books, anything, like, artistic that I do, because my dad's so very artistic as well, you know, that, like, he gets very interested in all of that stuff, so. I don't know. I think it could be so much worse, you know? I mean, it could be 100 times worse. I don't have anything bad to say. Like, that's the thing that's so awesome, you know? It's like, I had such great relationships with both of my parents. I tell everybody that, you know, like, when people say, like, what's one thing that, you know, advice about, you know, if you still have your parents alive, I'm like, work out whatever resentments you have. Don't left anything unsaid. You know, if my dad passed away tomorrow, there's nothing that I feel like I need to say to him. There's nothing that he feels like he needs to say to me. We have a great relationship, you know? My mom and I, we had a great relationship at the end. There was nothing left unsaid. And there's so much peace and serenity that comes with that, you know, when you can look back on your relationships with your family and know that, like, or friends or whatever, or partners, you know, and I always tell people that, like, don't let there be things that are unsaid. Say what you need to say, you know, and get it out. Even if it's painful, get it out, because you don't know when you're not going to ever have the chance again to say those things. So, yeah. My dad will probably live to be 100, though. He's just like the type. I mean, he's so healthy. And he just has such a zest for living, too. I think that has a lot to do with it. All right, I'm right at 30 minutes, so I'm going to stop this. I'll be back in just a second. I literally stopped it and started it again. Anyway, yeah. I wish, like, I always say to my dad, like, you know, Alex and I and you guys should go on a trip somewhere, and he's like, okay, where do you want to go? And I'm like, I don't know, like, where do you want to go? We'll pay for our way. It's not like we have to ask you to pay. He's like, well, we can go somewhere. He's like, that'd be fun. And then, like, it just never happens. He still is so busy. My dad is so busy at his age. I just cannot imagine being that busy. I don't, like, and I always say to him, like, what are you going to do when you retire? And he goes, I'm not going to retire. I'll be dead. He's like, I'll retire from one thing. I'll do something else. I'll figure something out. I'll do something. He'll always do something. He's always inventing something or writing a book or writing something. He's always writing some kind of essay. He's always doing something. My dad, even, I mean, he'll probably die and I'll find that he's written 10 full manuscripts sitting in his office or something, you know? Like, he's always doing something. And I think, like, now, like, in his older age, like, he loves just to sit, like, in the basement and watch TV with the dogs. Okay, this is so weird to me. My dad is not somebody that loves to watch, like, he loves to watch, like, CNN News and, like, Meet the Press and those kinds of shows. But he doesn't love to watch, like anything, like, comedic, or he doesn't watch any sitcoms, anything like that. But the last, like, 5 years, he's become obsessed with Law and Order. I don't know what it is, but, like, I'll call my dad and I'll say, hey, what's going on? He'll be like, nothing. Can I call you back in a little bit? He goes, I'm on my, I'm like 10 minutes into Law and Order. And I'm like, okay. It cracks me up. My mom was the same way. Like, I would call her. My mom, because she always had basic cable all her life, like, I was just telling this story actually in a video today. One point in her life, she was getting all kinds of free cable channels. She called the cable company and told them because she felt like it was dishonest. I was like, that's like how important honesty is in my family. Like, with my entire family, like, honesty is like that important. Which is weird then that when my mom passed away, I found out things that, like, weren't true, you know, that was, like, baffling to me. I was like, not that there were things that weren't true, there were things that she had not told me, I guess, that was kind of baffling to me, you know? And I remember one time, it was interesting, I was having a conversation with Tanya about it, like, about all this stuff I found out about my mom. And I was like, in reference to her son, I was like, don't you think that he has a right to know all those things about you? Like, and she goes, absolutely not. He's my son. He doesn't need to know everything about my life. And I go, do you really feel that way? She goes, absolutely. She's like, yeah, he doesn't need to know everything that goes on in my life. So I guess, you know, my mom had a right to her privacy and the things that happened in her life. I don't know. But, what was I saying? Oh, my dad in Law and Order. But other than that, like, my dad loves to sit out on the back patio and smoke a cigarette. Or smoke a cigarette. He hates cigarette smoking. I can't believe I just said that. And smoke a cigar. He doesn't inhale it. He just puffs on it. He hates cigarette smoking. Oh, he loathes it. Back when I was smoking regularly, he'd say, and I would go into the tanning bed, he would say, why don't you just smoke a cigarette in the tanning bed, and that way you'll be sure to get cancer. He hates cigarette smoking. He hates it, he hates it, he hates it, he hates it, he hates it. Alex hates it too. You know what I found tonight that I forgot that I had back in here? Was, do you guys remember this? It's my cotton candy, what do you call it? Lip gloss. I don't know, it just kind of like showed up underneath there. I'm like, how did this just show up? Do you think that things just like disappear into the universe and then they show up? Do you remember they talk about that at the beginning of St. Elmo's Fire, that movie? They're talking about Fluff and Fold, my friend. Do you remember that? And he's like, things just like that one sock that just disappears into the universe and all of a sudden it shows up. I've kind of wondered that from time to time, though, that there's like black holes in the universe and then all of a sudden things just like, you put them somewhere and then it's like the black hole like goes over that area and then it just like snatches it up and then like 10 years later it like shows up. And what's so weird about this is that I read this book by Blake Crouch. Blake Crouch is the guy that wrote, he's the author that wrote the Wayward Pine series that they made into that TV show that was actually pretty good. But he wrote this book called Dark Matter, and it was so good, and it was kind of like that. It was about quantum physics, which I know nothing about, but he dumbed it down for the reader. It was like one of the best books I've ever read, and it was such a great thriller. If you want a really good thriller, read Dark Matter. It came out in 2016. I think it came out in 2016. It was really good. I haven't worn lip gloss in a long time. That stupid yellow light is back on again. Whatever. Well, I'm going to get off here. I think I've been talking for 40 or 50 minutes, so I'm going to get off here and say, I bid you good night. I bid you good night. I bid you good night. And I hope you guys have been having a wonderful weekend. And I will see you tomorrow. Are you guys excited to go with me to Florida? We're like days away. Do you realize that? Are you excited about the whole trip? I'll be vlogging the whole trip. So just stay tuned. It's going to be so much fun. I'm so excited. All right, you guys. I love you. And I will see you tomorrow. Bye.